And at 10, Sinister Turmoil Sewers. Sinister Turmoil was planned to be a full release game. However, the full game never really came to fruition. Mangle was planned to be the main antagonist of the game, where they were using the name Prototype Foxy. However, while the whole game wasn't released, we managed to get Sinister Turmoil Sewers instead, which is a snippet of what the main game would have looked like. In the game, you were trying to escape a Freddy Fazbear amusement park when your friend says to escape through the sewers. However, when you enter, you realize that Mangle has been set loose in the sewers, which leads me to believe that your friend is up to some fishy business. Perhaps he is William Afton. The game from then on is very reminiscent of the corn maze from the Curse of Dreadbear DLC. I've played through that minigame and the two are very similar. In Sinister Turmoil, which did come out first, there's a cupcake that follows you around, and if you don't look at it for long enough, it decides it's going to scream like a child, and it will alert Mangle to your location. In Corn Maze, there are clusters of crows on the ground in random places, where if you step on them, they scare the hell out of you and alert Foxy to your location. By the way, that's the worst part of that game. It's terrifying. The main antagonists of the game are versions of Foxy, Mangle in Sinister Turmoil, and Grim Foxy in Corn Maze. I think someone got their ideas elsewhere, Scott. In at 9, Five Nights at Candy's. Five Nights at Candy's is the first in the series of 5 Candy's games that include 4 main titles and then a final remastered version of the first one. After Freddy Fazbear's closed for good, it's clear that the stage was set, no pun intended, for another contender in children's entertainment. So Candy's decided to take their shot. What could go wrong? The gameplay is similar to that of FNAF. However, you have the added ability of having night vision in the cameras, and they added a 3rd floor in the form of an office window, which adds more complexity and difficulty to the gameplay. The first game includes 13 characters, including the beloved phone guy, obviously a different one, but we all love the phone guy, and the main title character of Candy with her merry band of animatronic killers. Cindy, Blank, Chester, the Penguin, damn it Batman, I thought you had dealt with him, Old Candy, the Rat, Vinny, Shadow Cat, Origami Cat, and the Easter egg Markiplier animatronic. Who do you think the king of FNAF is? Let me know below. It's MatPat. Come on. And at 8, The Joy of Creation. The Joy of Creation is for sure one hell of a clever name. T-Jock has a unique viewpoint because you play as the one and only Danny DeVito. Sorry, I meant Scott Cawthon. Autocorrect. Created by Nixon, the story is set after Scott ended the Five Nights series. After he does, however, the animatronics start attacking him because they want to take what he took from them, their lives, in the form of the games. After the production of another game was cancelled, the game transitioned into The Joy of Creation Reborn. The game has several modes, including the original survival mode and a newly added story mode. The game features ignited versions of the old animatronics, and they look straight up terrifying. This is one of the scariest games on the list, and the story mode is the most terrifying game mode out of all of them by far. Even looking at the trailer gives me the heebie-jeebies. And at 7, One Night at Flumpty's. The game drill description for this game is, the game is an inside joke. There's no backstory, no meaningful undertones, nothing to theorize about. It's just for fun, so have fun. And after dealing with this series for 7 years, we know that there's always a story. There's always something to theorize about, okay? We just know it. This wonderful fan game includes characters such as Flumpty Bumpty, Birthday Boy Blam, the Red Man, Eyesore, Grunkfuss the Clown, which is the real Eyesore, the Beaver, Golden Flumpty, and the Owl. The game plays similarly to FNAF, with relatively similar mechanics. However, there's a hole in the wall where Grunkfuss the Clown can pop out of, and the game appears as if it's all hand-drawn, which can make the game appear slightly less terrifying, but it also makes it more personal and can give you more of a personal connection to the game if that's what you're looking for. And if you want to theorize about it, I'm sure that there's something you can. There's got to be something to be found, right? We need to get like a community together to form theories for these games. It has to happen. We gotta connect all the FNAF fan games to the lore, somehow. Please. Please. Set up a Discord. And at 6, Final Nights 3, Nightmares Awoken. Final Nights is absolutely terrifying. If you haven't seen Top 10 Scariest FNAF Animatronics, the first part, go check it out because I talk about Reaper Puppet and it's one of the scariest animatronics in that whole series, but also in the whole like FNAF world, even including the fan games. Like, oh my god. I said that the Reaper Puppet looks like a weird version of Jeff the Killer, and I'm not wrong. The whole series is populated by messed up versions of the original animatronics, like Withered Toy animatronics and the Reaper animatronics like I mentioned earlier, which are the ones appearing in the third game alongside the Reaper Puppet. And Reaper Balloon Boy looks like something I've actually seen in my nightmares before I've ever heard of these games. The third game in the series, which is the one I'm most familiar with, has you literally literally staying in your hospital room when the animatronics attack, which is incredibly rude. Like, come on, man, I'm recovering, but you're still going to invade my personal space like that? Well, yes, in that game you need to survive until morning. Time doesn't actually move if you're awake. You actually need to sleep in order to make any progress, which means that you're going to be leaving yourself vulnerable to attacks. It's an incredible game mechanic, and with terrifying animatronics, it's an interesting way that the series could have gone. But if it went this way, oh man, I'd be playing it a lot more. FNAF Dormitabus. I know you guys were saying that I'm saying that wrong, but I don't know how to say it normally, so. Faced with dangerous robotic abominations, the player has to survive 10 nights of terror and panic, while all you have to defend yourself is a rusty old desktop and your own reflexes. You are challenged by a whole host of robotic monstrosities, but the thing is, they used to be your friends. Who are you? Where are you? And what the hell is going on? You'll just have to figure that one out yourself. The reason I found out about this game is because of a Reddit thread that said that this game had one hell of a messed up story, but they didn't really use that language. They used more vulgar language. The story of the game should be discovered for yourself, so I'm not going to spoil it. But the game ties itself into the lore of the first 4 FNAF games, not including Sister Location or the Silver Eyes because they hadn't been announced when this game was released. But I mean, they should have expected it because Scott releases a new game like every other month. Well, not anymore. He used to. We remember the days. And at 4, Bonnie Simulator 2. Ever wanted to kill kids? Okay, ever wanted to kill kids in video games? Well, how about killing a security guard while you travel instantaneously from camera to camera while he tries to survive? Well, if the latter tickled your fancy, you probably wanted to play as an animatronic. Well, in the series of animatronic simulator games, you play as one specific animatronic. In Bonnie Simulator 2, you play as either Toy Bonnie or Withered Bonnie in the FNAF 2 location, where you travel from camera to camera trying to attack the guard. However, they made the game more difficult, so the guard is pretty smart and is actually good at the game. They should have like difficulties where you like fight against YouTubers, you know? Like a Markiplier difficulty, a Daco difficulty, MadPat, you know. The big FNAF YouTubers should be difficulties. I don't think it's in production anymore, but if someone wants to do it, be my guest. That idea is free. You're welcome. I usually charge a hefty sum. And at 3 is Shadow Over Freddy's, a tableau FNAF game with the ability to explore the entire pizzeria. You have different objectives instead of the typical gameplay, and the whole exploration thing has got to be inspired by that Game Lab episode of FNAF. The way you complete these nights is by completing objectives, not surviving until 6 AM. You have no power to hinder you, but you also have no time to save you. Plus, the game is in black and white, which makes it all the more terrifying. Not being able to see the colors of the animatronics means you will be questioning every single little thing about this game. Is that an animatronic or am I just seeing things? Is that delight or is that something that's gonna kill me? Did I fart or was that an animatronic? You'll never know. And where the hell is the fan? I don't know. Fan. The scariest part of this is that you're not done until you complete your objective. No biding your time, no cowering in fear, you need to move or you're gonna die. It's terrifying. And at 2, Super FNAF. Remember FNAF World? Yeah, I wish I didn't either. However, if you were to try and play through FNAF 57 Freddy in Space in a 16-bit pixelized version, would you do it? I think we all know that that's the best FNAF game in the series. Super FNAF is a 16-bit platformer game released on October 23rd, 2016, and it tries to pay homage to the original FNAF world where it drew its inspiration. There's an arcade mode, a story mode, a free play mode, side quests, and so much more. But there isn't a secret objective to gather clocks and set up clues for the real world for you to discover in FNAF 3. Wait, what if there is and just no one's discovered it yet? No, it doesn't exist. However, it would give the game some replay value, just trying to find it over and over again. The story mode contains 6 nights and has you guiding the original animatronics through the FNAF 1 pizzeria in platforming fun that will remind you of the classic Super Mario and FNAF combined. Definitely try it out, even if you don't like platformers, because like it's FNAF, and we all love FNAF. Finally, in at number 1, Pop Goes. A story based on the first 3 FNAF games, Pop Goes, like many others, is about a competitor and successor in a way to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. A year after the fire at Fazbear Fright, a rich and creative inventor in England, only known as Fritz, has taken the role of continuing the animatronic pizza brand with its own restaurant called Pop Goes Pizzeria. They had extremely advanced robotics, but nothing like possessed animatronics walking around because they had kids stuffed inside them and then their souls got infused with their bodies, thus creating like soul metal remnant. Yeah, nothing like that. This pizzeria was far ahead of its time. 3D printers in every room, and touchscreen devices for the kids. It was a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, but better and without the child murder we all expect. but Fritz never built the place for the customers. He built it for himself. And as a night guard, you're part of the scheme. So let's get started and help Fritz out. Some observant viewers may have noticed that the name Fritz seems fairly familiar. It is actually the name that Mike used in the first FNAF game, and it was the name of the child who got stuffed into Foxy, as we know from the gravestone ending and it being in the same position of the good ending in FNAF 3. What could this man be doing? Is his name actually Fritz? Does he know Fritz? Is he related to Fritz? You'll have to play it yourself to find out. 10 Five Nights at Krusty Krab. Mr. Krabs just opened a brand new Krusty Krab location in the city. Gotta love Mr. Krabs with that hustle. Go man, make the Krusty Krab a franchise. However, the location is staffed completely by animatronic versions of old employees. I guess it was cheaper than paying them. You're hired as the night watchman at this location. However, strange things begin to happen when the lights dim, and you find yourself in a bit more trouble than you had originally anticipated. I've talked about this game's sequel Five Nights at Chum Bucket before, and the full release version of Five Nights at Krusty Krab has one hell of a game. This game includes animatronic versions of SpongeBob, Squidward, Patrick, Sandy, Mr. Krabs, and while they may not all be employees of the Krusty Krab, they were at one point. Also, it turns out that the Krusty Krab pizza is the pizza for you and me, because there are plenty of pizza boxes scattered all around the facility. But that also means that Robot SpongeBob isn't doing his job, but again, that's strangely normal for SpongeBob robots. Does anyone remember the one Plankton built? In the end, everyone forgets about the restaurant, aside from the one who came for revenge. But you'll have to play it to figure out who it is and what they did. In a 9 Five Nights at Minecraft map. This Minecraft map is a full recreation of the first 5 FNAF game maps. The FNAF locations are here, including Sister Location and the FNAF 4 house. However, the FNAF 6 location is not done. The map includes texture packs for all the locations featured, making sure you are able to see the different animatronics, and they even include some Easter eggs. Some of which are weird, like the one called No Poop, but others are interesting and would have lore implications, like the puppet being in the FNAF 1 location, among others. The maps, in all honesty, are extremely well constructed, except for the FNAF 4 house. I don't think that's how the house would have been laid out. I mean, we don't even see the wonderful hallways with the grandfather clock. I think it may have been more so based on the layout from the mini games, but I mean, that might be wrong. The ability to free roam is something that I think we would all enjoy in a FNAF game, especially if it was a working pizzeria and not just one filled with spooks. Like, I'm telling you, William Afton Simulator. Let me kill kids in a working pizza place. Please, Chuck E. Cheese won't let me back. Implying I'm a murderer. And it ain't One Night at Flumpty's too. Once again, Flumpty, Bumpty, and his pals have kidnapped you, a presumably innocent civilian, to play a game of survival hide-and-seek. The rules are simple. Make it until 6 AM and you and Flumpty become besties. If someone catches you, they'll give you a brand new face. However, there are some rules, like any regulation game of hide-and-seek, but you only learn them as the night goes on. You only have a light switch, a computer with a limited battery, and a switch to close the vents, but you can only close one at a time. Can you survive against Flumpty Bumpty and his merry crew of Birthday Boy Blam, the Red Man, Eyesore, Grunkfuss the Clown, the Beaver, Golden Flumpty? They all make an appearance. But this time there is an added threat of Champ and Chump, horrifying, bloody and fleshy creatures with no arms and bloodshot eyes. They're the size of about the mini-renas. Basically, it's a mini-rena with muscle fibers and blood covering the body without the arms. Yeah, it's creepy. In its 7-weekend demo, he knows you're in here. He remembers you. Shadows of the distant past will drive you insane, just like they did to him. Greetings, I'm glad you've chosen to work here at Purple Shore's warehouse. Your job as a security guard here will likely be a fairly easy one. The game is only a demo and the full release has been in production for over 4 years, so I'm assuming it's going to be staying that way. Don't get me wrong, games take a long time to make, but if it's a fan game, it shouldn't be in production for so long, especially when the last update to the demo was over 2 years ago. Yeah, I mean, the game itself is scary as hell, however, with more cameras and even more locations to find these animatronics. You'll be confused as hell as to where they're coming from, which is probably not a good thing, and you should look to your right because there's a door that the animatronics keep coming through, just like move your mouse. Yeah, that took Markiplier an unreasonable amount of time to figure out. But I mean, if you haven't played, how are you supposed to know? Flashback to your comments on the Lasagna Boy gameplay, and I literally had to like search up what I was supposed to do in that video, and then we just had to cut back to when I had figured it out. like controlling the missiles? Yeah, I had to look it up, and I wouldn't be surprised if Markiplier had to look it up too. And at 6, Five Nights at Candy's 3. FNAF 3 was intended to be the ending to the FNAF series, until, like Springtrap and Scott Cawthon, it came back with FNAF 4. However, unlike FNAF 3, FNAF 3 was actually the beginning of the story as well as the end, since it was a prequel to Five Nights at Candy's 1. While yes, the animatronics and jump scares will give you a fright, the real meat of this game comes from the minigames and cutscenes you get that really beef up the lore and give not only the game, but the whole series context as a whole. However, you will truly be horrified when you see these animatronics. Old Candy, the Rat, Vinny, Shadow Candy, Candy the Cat, Monster Vinny, Origami Cat, Lollipop. The whole game is extremely well made, and it really shows why this series is so popular, and why it's one of the most popular FNAF fan games to date. If FNAF wasn't over and it was going to get a sequel, what would you like to see? I personally would like to see a VR, but I understand that it's hard to do that with like a fan game. These animatronics in VR would just be horrifying. The Rat is by far one of the scariest animatronics I've seen in this game, and if it was not for the Reaper puppet from Final Nights, it would be the scariest game. Speaking of Final Nights, halfway through at number 5, Final Nights 4, Fates Entwined. Final Nights 4 is the final game in the Final Nights series. Unlike previous games in the series, the game plays like a puzzle point-and-click experience, where you adventure around the original Fredbear family diner from two different perspectives, one in 1973 and one in 2017 before the events of Final Nights 3. In 1973, you play as Henry Stillwater, and working together with Afton Robotics, you make a restaurant that the whole family can enjoy. However, after your night guard doesn't show up, you are forced to do the job yourself. It's only now that you see the truth behind what these robots are doing, and this has to mean something, right? One does not drop casual references to 1973 in a Five Nights at Freddy's fan game without it meaning something important. In 2017, you play as Max Donovan, a paranormal investigator who got an anonymous tip about the disappearance of none other than Henry Stillwater. You go to the abandoned Fredbear location to find out the truth, unaware of the thing rotting and restless inside. And at 4, Fazbear's Fright. Long after Freddy Fazbear's Pizza closed down, Fun Frights Inc. created a horror attraction built to show off the tragic history of Fazbear Entertainment. Rude. Old diner locations have been searched for props, in which it appears that they have all been fixed up for some sort of Halloween-themed area. The location is nearly ready to open. Be sure you get your tickets now. You play in the original Freddy Fazbear location, where you now have more threats than ever before, employee combinations on the keypad, vents to keep you on your toes, and so many animatronics that you'll lose your mind even more. This is not to be confused with Fazbear Fright from the third FNAF game. This is an entirely separate company that is essentially making a museum dedicated to Freddy Fazbear and the tragic events that occurred, which is rude. Hella rude. Maybe this is why they needed to get their reputation back and how wanted. Sure, it's because of Scott, but also because companies like Fun Frights Inc. make jokes about their tragic history too. Also, I know that it's not technically Scott in the games, but like, the character he's playing hasn't been named yet, so I'm gonna keep calling him Scott until he gets named. And at 3, Fredbear and Friends Reboot. Are you crazy? Are you daring? Are you looking for thrills in places nobody else will go? Well, if that sounds like you, Fredbear and Friends Reboot is gonna tickle your fancy like a dove feather, because even though Freddy's has been closed for 26 years, the building has been abandoned ever since. The place that once brought joy and happiness is now growing vines and smells like rot. Kinda like my ex. So what should you do? Meet up with your friends and investigate, of course. The thing is, plans aren't always executed properly. As the great Leonard Snart said, make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, and throw away the plan. This fully free-roam game has all the jump scares you could want, combined with high-quality visuals, voice acting, cutscenes, and game mechanics that will make you truly feel like you're experiencing the situation. Even if you should be able to close the door on Springtrap, but instead you have to hide under the desk. Yeah, that part is confusing, and so are a couple others, but other than that, it's a fantastic game. It's funny when you walk into a room and then see your friend being chased by Springtrap. I mean, it's scary. Penultimately, in at number 2, Jolly 3. This is a unique game in the way it's presented. All these games are unique, and something can't be especially unique because being unique means that you are one of a kind and you can't be especially one of a kind. But anyway, this game presents itself in 2 chapters, each of them basically being their own game. Chapter 1 is very reminiscent of Sister Location, with more complicated game mechanics and the feeling of being scooped, but Chapter 2 has more of an original FNAF feel. Each chapter has between-night mini-games that help break up the monotony of gameplay, and keeps you on your toes to make sure you don't get too good at the cycle of just like hitting the buttons, you know? It breaks the cycle. You're welcome. If you get it, you get it. The jump scares seemingly come from nowhere, and oh yeah, it turns out this game's characters and name are based on a Filipino version of Denny's called Jubilee. Yeah, a freaking bee animatronic. Anyone allergic to bees, honey, or pollen better get the hell out of here. And I'm allergic to pollen, so next number. Finally, in at number 1, Baby's Nightmare Circus. When first playing, Baby's Nightmare Circus will remind you of FNAF 4, and for very good reasons. Because of Baby being used, since you know she scooped Michael Afton's sister up, and due to the similar looking title screen and the way you move around the circus being essentially the same as FNAF 4. You look at the ground and then you run, which is how I run everywhere. Oh, and the jump scares will make you lose your mind. The Nightmare Ballora is one of the most confusing things I have ever seen. Like, should I be scared? Should I be aroused? Why am I aroused? Is looking at this thing wrong? Why is she so thick? Should I be concerned with my well-being? In at 10, Final Nights. While originally this number was meant to be the Willy's Wonderland fan game, I couldn't find any information on it, and nobody who played this game included links in their description. Yet if we don't put a link to something we play, everyone flips out on us. No matter the double standard, Final Nights is much more fitting game for this list. The Final Nights series as a whole is pretty inventive. Starting off the series with Mike Schmidt fleeing the FNAF 1 pizzeria after it's losing power, but it being followed by a mysterious entity that escaped from Freddy called the Brother, and then escalates from there, eventually adding the Reaper animatronics and the mechanics of actually having to sleep to pass time in FNAF 3. Ironically, the same game the Reapers are introduced. The animatronics are scary, the story is scary, and it's all honestly more disturbing than the original game, and I think that's something that we can all appreciate. And at 9, Before the Good Memory. Before the Good Memory is a FNAF fan game made by GameJolt user Mr. Rybizzle. In this game you play as Richard, who is working at Fredbear's Family Diner working to save up money to go to Junior's for his son's birthday. I'm assuming that it's the Juniors from Midnight Motorist. But as the GameJolt page puts it, it doesn't go good. The only two animatronics in the game are Spring Bonnie and Golden Spring Freddy, aptly named Fredbear, because, you know, it's Fredbear. But features helping on the office desk, which I don't think would happen, but hey, whatever, it's a fan game. After entering the office in this free roam diner, the player activates the animatronics that will begin free roaming and will charge at the player when seen, but you can lean around corners and turn your flashlight off to minimize your visibility. The game is definitely an interesting one and a different take on gameplay, and the sound design is good as well, making the jump scares really hit. In at 8, The Twisted Carnival. When 5 children are mysteriously found dead unexplainably after a ride on a Ferris wheel, it's obvious that something strange is happening, and the secrets must be uncovered. Working as a night guard at King's Carnival has its perks, like getting unfettered access to the park during the day, but during work hours, expect to spend long nights fending off Bear Hug and his gang of mechanical husks as you plunge deeper into the darkness of the Twisted Carnival. Can you solve the mystery? The Twisted Carnival is made by GameJolt user Galva_ and includes everything you love about a FNAF game. Multiple angles, a big door, or in this case a window, mini games, and terrifying animatronics. There is currently only a demo available, but nonetheless these animatronics are hella spooky. With characters like Foxtrot, Bonzo, Bear Hug, Chixie, and question mark, there is bound to be plenty of horror come the full game release, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm certainly not going to be playing it, but others will. And at 7, Baby's Nightmare Circus. This time you've gotten lost in your mind. You're trapped, unable to wake and remember. Best guess is to defend yourself in your dreadful sleep. Use your flashlight to ward off unwanted creatures. Venture to tents to explore. Find a way out. Created by Mixless on GameJolt, this is probably the scariest FNAF fan game based on Baby and the Funtime animatronics from what I've seen. These things are messed up and the story will send shivers down your already shaking spine just from looking at these screenshots. If you love Sister Location and the Funtime animatronics, take this game for a spin, because it's basically the Dark Carnival before the Dark Carnival was a real thing. It's great. It's also ironic that I'm saying about this one and not the Twisted Carnival, but that's twisted, not dark. And at 6, Twisted Reality. Created by GameJolt user PanPie, Twisted Reality is based on the second novel of the official FNAF series, The Twisted Ones, but is featuring other fan-made animatronics such as Twisted Fredbear instead of the official Twisted animatronics. The game was cancelled as the developer lost interest in the game, however, he is now currently making a reboot of the game called Twisted Reality Returns. The game takes place in Fazbear's Frightening Museum, where you're the, you guessed it, night guard who has to defend themselves from the dangerous Twisted animatronics buried underground. But during the day, while they may not come out, they still track you. The game currently has 3 animatronics, and the player must use different ways to defend themselves. The player has a TV and a security monitor. While TV is used to check on infected Freddys, the player can use the security monitor to check on Twisted Fredbear. The power supply is limited, so the player must make sure to shut off their TV to cool down the generators. There is also a flamethrower feature in camera 3B in the monitor as well. This can be used to ward off any attackers, because, you know, it's fire. And the twisted animatronics are some of the most terrifying ones that we've been described, so it's bound to be fun. Halfway through in at number 5, Golden Memory. Golden Memory, now Golden Memory Remastered, is a fan game created by GameJolt user Wester and features some damn good graphics from what I've been seeing. So if that's your cup of tea, I'd suggest that game for you. The game takes place at Fredbear's Family Diner in 1983 and features 4 animatronics: Spring Bonnie, Fredbear, Freddy, and Bonnie, all with different mechanics, but also simple to send away. The jump scares are scary, and while the gameplay is simple, with animatronics appearing in your office and you needing to click a button to make them go away, when they do appear in your office, it's terrifying. Trust me, play it for yourself and you'll end up yourself. But yeah, play it for yourself, I'm not doing it. And at 4, Pork Chop's Horror Show. Created by GameJolt user Fiznom, who is the one developing FNAF Plus as part of the Fazbear Fanverse initiative, Pork Chop's Horror Show is a mix of free-roam point-and-click horror with the classic FNAF survival thrown in there to spice things up. Welcome, dear contestant, to the experience of a lifetime inside the reinforced walls of Pork Chop's Horror Show, where the brave and mentally unstable alike come to throw their lives away for the promise of money, prizes, and fame. Relatable. Survive the winding corridors of the haunted meat factory, where our mechanical but maniacal friend Pork Chop will hunt you down and make you wish your death were as quick and painless as a simple jump scare. However, the game is currently on hold since they're prioritizing FNAF Plus, which is understandable, but nevertheless this looks horrifying, and if you want a taste, you can play Pork Chop's Adventure, which is a separate GameJolt game, but still by Fiznom. And at 3, Five Nights at Fredbear's 3. Welcome to Fredbear's Family Diner, also known as William's Restaurant, a new pizzeria burger restaurant based off the old Fredbear's Family Diner and Fredbear and Friends. You work as a security guard from 12 AM to 6 AM and fend off animatronics for 5 nights. Not only that, you have to stay until 7 AM to conduct repairs on the animatronics too. You have 5 days until the party, so let's get ready. Five Nights at Fredbear's 3 is getting a free roam remaster coming soon, and the game currently has a demo available as well and features your favorite killer animatronics and more, with new infected variants on the originals from what I've seen in gameplay videos. At least, if they weren't lying. The game is being made by Jordan is Grade 505, which pains me to say because that's my sister's name, on GameJolt, and the demo was released 6 months ago, but they still post regularly on GameJolt, link on their GameJolt page, so you can follow them if you'd like updates. The game looks absolutely horrific and wonderful, but again, I'm not gonna play it. You can. Penultimate lean at number 2, Dormitibus. Dormitibus is a fan game that was developed by Blackout, Own Trick, Stephen Mater, and Super Arthur Bros. Faced with dangerous robotic abominations, the player has to survive 10 nights of terror and panic. The only thing that you're given to defend yourself is an old dusty desktop computer and your own reflexes. The player is challenged by a whole horde of robotic monstrosities who, ironically enough, used to be the protagonist's friends. This game is absolutely nuts, and the story is some of the darkest that I've seen. The game was made before the release of FNAF 4, so only includes details from the first 3 games, but it only needs those. Jesus Christ, if you're into some up then play this game, because there is gore galore, okay? With animatronics constantly showing decaying muscle and blood, and the muscles like stretch. Oh my god. If you've seen any of the alternate animatronic lists on this channel, then you'll have seen the Havoc animatronics or Garvey, this game's version of Springtrap, and just dear god, this was also made before the William Afton name reveal, so there are a lot of things that are different to the main series. If that's what you're into, it's messed up. It's hella messed up, man. I'm telling you. Finally, in at number 1, The Joy of Creation. While Dormitibus may be disturbing, nothing can be as scary as The Joy of Creation. Both the free roam and story modes are horrifying. Created by Nixon on GameJolt, it's no wonder why this game was added to the Fazbear Fanverse. It's the night of August 8th, 2016, and Five Nights at Freddy's 2nd anniversary has passed. Celebrated worldwide, the hit indie horror series and its creator have made themselves a place in modern culture and the hearts of many. In this game, you play through the eyes of Scott Cawthon and his family, as they try to survive inside inside their own home on the dreadful night that brought the horror into reality. The scorched beings, whose origin and motives are yet unknown, find secrets lurking in the house and uncover the mysterious events that led to the cancellation of the next game in the series. You play in our world, up against ignited versions of our favorite animatronics. How is that not terrifying? You'll be in for a treat when playing this game. Each level has its own gameplay type, so it's not the same thing every night, and it's incredible. If you haven't played it, I highly suggest that you do. I haven't played it, but I've watched it. Just the fact that it's in our world just makes it so messed up. And you're playing as Scott, and now he announced his retirement, which only makes this more real. And it's not okay.